just involvement for young people and just a better fan experience, you know. But I don't know. I don't know how they do that. But you're right. If you outside Celtic Park, there is absolutely nothing that would make you think there's a Celtic game on. See if there was
No.
summer football. Tell you what, set up a wee stage on the Celtic Way, section off an area, tailgate during summer, middle of summer, have a Celtic band on playing tunes, have a wee beer tent set up. Would you hit up that? I'd hit up that in a second. That'd be brilliant.
I, I was going to go do that this weekend, but it's cold and rainy in Myrtle Beach. So, I
Uh,
mean, yes.
Aye, fuck that, man. It'd be well good,
Yeah.
man. So,
Yeah.
aye,
Those
all
are
right. So
great.
I take that on board. I think that Celtic could do a little bit more, but it is a balancing act. I've got to give props to the North American franchises for making sport entertaining, and for an American fan going over, it's interesting to see it from your perspective because it is just so different from what you guys know. It must be pretty alien to you, and it's one of those things where it's like it's hard to explain to people who aren't involved in it. It's like, why are things like this? And you just have to say, oh, they've always been like this. And you're like, why don't you change? You're like, well, people don't really like change. They like the way it is. And it's just it's evolved into this thing where fans just expect a shit customer experience. They expect standing in the rain, people not being very nice, hostilities from cops on the way in, all that sort of thing. And if you're just thrown in, it's a kind of boiling a frog thing. If you're just thrown into it, you're like, what the fuck? But it just gradually got worse over years, and we've just accepted it. So,
Hey, do
fair
you
play,
think
fair
it's
play for flagging that up.
do you think it has more to do with the fact that there's no such thing as a neutral? So
Yeah,
there's no
no,
reason to
I
entertain.
totally think that's true. Whereas, like, see if you don't like basketball, you might go to a basketball game,
Just to
and
see LeBron James.
just as well, this is a fact. Toronto FC, as an apology to the fans last season for them being so terrible, they gave out free Raptors tickets to season ticket holders. So you got to go to two free Raptors. This is true. Got to go to two free Raptors games, right? And a guy from Inverness, who's a really good guy here, he actually runs Inverness's website from Toronto, Cali Thistle's website. He was like, I've never been to a basketball game in my life. I've never seen it. I'm just a big lad for the Highlands, but you know what? I'll go along to the game. And he loved it. He was like, this is great. It's a great night out. I took my wife, had a blast, had a hot dog, sitting down the front, lots of entertainment on the go, and I thought it was good. I might go again. That's never going to happen in Celtic. You don't go to games, football games, as a neutral unless you already like football. And if you already like football, the chances are you already have a team. The only team I've ever heard is Fulham in the Premier Division apparently have a neutral section for fans who are not Fulham fans to come in and watch Premier League football. And I think that's pretty
Yeah,
wank.
that's
That's
a that's
wank.
a that's a famous sign for Tottenham. Also, they have Tottenham. They have a sign that I've seen posted before. Is in a book. It said Tottenham fans this way, neutrals and others the other way. So yeah, and that's the reason why I think it is. I don't think if there was a market for for neutrals to go watch a game, I think they would have to do it.
Aye.
But
I mean,
they honestly believe that the hell
put,
with you.
put,
This is the product you have.
put it this way, right? I'm obviously born and raised Celtic fan from West Lothian. My local teams are Stenhousemuir, Falkirk, and East Stirlingshire. If Celtic weren't playing one weekend, and I suppose Livingston as well, if Celtic weren't playing one weekend, me and my dad would go and support one of the local teams. And we might go to Livingston or East Stirlingshire. But we wouldn't be like, all right, we're neutral fans. We would just go and be like, right, let's support East Stirlingshire in this game. You know what I mean? They're never going to get us to go to that game if we don't already like football. It is a substitute for not watching Celtic that weekend. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
but
agreed. Yeah.
but so yeah, you're right. But it is very hard to compare the American market or North American market, sorry, to the Scottish one. But I think there's lessons that Celtic could learn from North America. I tell you what, see going to a Toronto FC game, they could learn a lot from Celtic as well. So it's a double-edged sword on that one. But anyway, right, what are your thoughts on? We've had the Astra game, the Killie game, and the Thistle game, and obviously you were at 2 of 3 of those. So what's the current state of things going on? What were your general thoughts on those games?
Uh, well, start. Remember, we haven't been on since was it Ross County? We won 5-0. So
Oh, the county
my
game
boy
in there as
Stokes,
well. Sorry, yeah.
yeah. So my boy Stokes, he had 2 goals in that game. Guidetti scored again. That worked out really well. If you go to Astra, I mean, they struggled in the first half and they booed him off the park in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up, doing well, but it didn't change until they went to two up top.
Mm-hmm.
And once they got away from this, this 4-3 or 4-4-1-1
I think it's
type thing.
it's more a 4-2-3-1. I
4-2-3-1,
reckon.
whatever
Yeah.
the hell you want to call it. As soon as you got away from that, they broke down Astra, and that was fine. And they had 4 or 5 other chances, that type of thing. I think they'll do the job on Thursday, coming up as they go back to Astra. I think this team's beginning to click, and it's beginning to happen. I mean, I just went back and I looked at the record, and in the last 10 games, they're 8 or 9, 1-1. The last 11 games, they're 9-1-1. They've only given up 3 goals or 2 goals in those 10 games or 12 games or something.
We'll go back and talk about assess Ronnie's last little stint in a moment, but we'll break it down and look at individuals and individual things at the moment. And the first thing you said there was there's a problem with 4-2-3-1 and when they moved to 4-4-2. And it was refreshing to see them go 4-4-2 in a couple of games there, etc. But I've got a problem with 4-4-2 at the moment where 4-4-2 is my favourite formation to see at Celtic. Without a shadow of a doubt, at the moment our personnel doesn't fit that. Now, the problem is that with a 4-4-2, one of our most effective midfield players at the moment, well, actually, our most effective midfield player at the moment is Scott Brown. But the other choice, the centre midfield player, would have to be Johansson. Now, I don't think Johansson fits in a midfield two. At the moment, right, he's better playing forward. Three in the middle, with Johansson playing forward, and then Mulgrew and Brown behind him. So he doesn't have to do the tackling, he doesn't have to do a lot of the running. He just passes the ball and just like breaks open the defence. I think he struggles, and we've said time and time again he does struggle when he's in a midfield two, and when he's in the two of the five as well, he struggles there. So I like Johansson and I want him in the team, but to accommodate him, I think you've got to play the 4-2-3-1 and have him as part of the three in the centre. Because I think when we first got him, we thought we had a Stan Petrov, a box-to-box midfield player who's going to tackle, who's going to pass, the complete midfielder. I don't think he is. I don't think he's Moravchik, but I think he's closer towards a number 10 Moravchik than he is to a Petrov.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I like the two up top. I do, and I think part of the issue that Ronnie's going to have now is he's worked so hard to go away from that by bringing people in and changing people around that it's hard for him to go to float back and forth. But then again, he went up with two up top with Gudetti and Skepovic
Mhm.
on Sunday against Killy.
Yeah.
So that whole situation, and Guidetti scored again today. So put all those games together. He's got 9 goals in 9 games. I mean, it's hard to keep him out. You're not going to, and if they happen to, and when they win on Thursday, they're going to play in January, and against whoever they're going to draw in the last 32, and they're going to either decide to put him by himself up top, Guidetti up top by himself,
Hmm.
or not,
Yeah.
because there's no way in the world he's coming out.
See, the thing is, right, at the moment, like I was saying, I think the 4-2-2 is great, but at the moment we don't have the personnel to do it in the midfield. It also means dropping our most effective passer of the ball in Johansson. So I think we're better going with the 4-2-3-1. Now that means that it's really one up top, like you were saying. But two people that I think are key to this so far is one Mulgrew and your boy Stokes. Now Mulgrew's a strange one because when we put together our top five and bottom five of the week, and I was writing this out, he is nearly a person who went in the top five and also in the bottom five. And hear me out on this, right? Where to get the most out of Johansson, like I was saying, I think he needs to play further forward, so he has to have two central midfield players playing behind him. And at the moment, Mulgrew and Brown. Mulgrew, we need someone to play that role, that defensive midfield playing role. So him coming into the side has been a huge positive because we've started to play better now he's came back. The problem is with him, I don't think he's playing effectively in that role. I don't think he's a type of class of player that we could rely on in Europe to play in that role. I don't think he does enough running. I don't think he has the engine, the tenacious nature that Brown has, the kind of ball retention and the heavy tackling that Brown has either. So although him coming into the side was a massive positive, it's not him coming into the side, it's a player in his style coming into his side, if you know what I mean. Where
Oh yeah.
we're crying out for a good defensive midfield player. At the moment, Mulgrew's playing that role, but we actually need someone else. We've been linked to a couple of
Speaking of,
people. We'll get back to him
yeah,
later
we're
on.
thinking
We'll
of
get
that
back to
game.
him later on. There's a
Oh,
possibility. But so
yeah.
Mulgrew coming to the side has been a positive. However, I still don't trust him to be the guy in Europe. However, the system has got better with him in it. My other person that I've flagged up is Stokes, your boy Stokes. Now, I've given Stokes pelters in this show over and over and over again, even though I quite like him in a way because he's the Irish guy, he's one of us, etc., etc. What I've liked about Stokes recently is his ability to adapt to a new position. Where if we're going with this kind of 4-2-3-1 that breaks into a 4-4-3, a 4-3-3, he's been playing on the left side, and people are saying, "Oh, he's wasted out there. He's wasted out there." Well, he usually drifts out to the left hand side anyway. He's kind of changed his game a little bit to play more as kind of like wide man. He's linking up more.
Him and Izzy together have been magical at
he
times.
has
Playing
the link up play's been there. He started to stay in position more. There's a whole thing of, I think 90-minute Cynic said he drifts out to the left, and then all the times let's try him on the left. Lennon's done it before as well. When Lennon done it, Stokes didn't adapt to the game he wanted him to play. He just randomly, he's like, "I'm Tony Stokes, I'm just going to run about like a headless chicken." I think his positional sense has been much, much, much better in the last few weeks. As in, infinitely better. He's passing, his vision. I don't think he had a good game today. I don't think he played particularly well today. I don't think Stokes is the guy that's going to play 5 good games in a row for you. I think if he played five games for you, he's going to play 2 brilliantly, 2 okay, and 1 bad. That's the level of player we have with Tony Stokes at the moment.
So speaking of the midfield, it was good. I was happy to see McGregor get a day off today to a certain extent.
We both said this.
I mean, even after against Astra, he came off at halftime, and there was a Killy. No, it was Killy. I forget, one of the two. He came off at halftime at I think it was against Astra, and whichever game it was, and you can see he's just. I don't know if he's playing too much or he just needs a break or something. No, I'm saying even if you look at him playing so much, it's worked out for him. But I don't think he's got that. I haven't seen him be an offensive threat since we were at Salzburg.
Yeah, I think young players sometimes do need a rest. Heard Paul McStay recently talk about when he was back for the Maestro match. He said that he got a run in the team. And then he got dropped from the team, and being dropped from the team was good for him because it gave him a rest. It made him fight back into the team, etc. If you look at Rooney, when Rooney was at Everton and banging in the goals, the fans were like going mental for him. But kind of Moyes kind of like dripped him into the team, kept him going. Where sometimes like giving guys extended runs to the team are great. Extended runs are good, but it's when they become the teacher's pet and they become undroppable, like James Forrest. I think James Forrest really would have benefited under Lennon of being dropped for a few games and coming on as an impact player, and that's what McGregor's doing right now. So I'm more than happy with that. I think he deserves a run out. I don't think he deserves to play in every single game. I've got high hopes for him, so I hope we kind of use kid gloves here and really look after the boy and like make sure his development is exactly what it should be, which is like by the end of the season we want him to be a first team regular. We don't need him to be a first team regular now.
Well, I don't think he's going to be. I really don't. I don't think he's going to be first team regular right now, and not with the number of midfielders that we have. I mean, if you're trying to to tell me that he's gonna once you get this all squared away, he's gonna play in front of Commons or play in front of James Forrest when he gets healthy, which he's ready. He should be back either for Astra or for the weekend after. I mean, you tell me, McGregor or Forrest on the right?
Forrest in a second.
Of course.
However, you know what? I think those two guys, see it training, those two training together and being like, right, it's a first team jersey for 1As, fight it out amongst yourselves. And that competition of like those two looking over each other's shoulder for each other, that will be brilliant. Those two will develop together and get better together. And the constant thing of like knowing that there's another guy that can take that place off you, that's fantastic for a young football player. So hopefully they're in the same position as well because they're roughly the same age. Maybe Forrest's a bit older, but no, I think it's going to be good. I think like he's been taken out at the right time. We're looking after the kid. Let's hope he can progress further on. This isn't a case of like, oh, we've taken him out of the team and let's throw him in the reserves and that's him done. No, let's give him a wee rest and let's get him back in there. But all right, who else have we got? We've talked about Stokes.
Well, let me ask you this: tell me about Lucasso. What do you think about him?
Exactly recently? The player I was going to talk on. I'm excited at the moment because there's a lot of guys that are starting to build a little bit of form, and Lucasso is one of them. Where his first couple of games for Celtic, I really liked him. Then he suddenly turned absolute pish, and now he looks like he's bringing it back again. So I always respect players that can have a few bad games and then turn it round. I don't know. I think he's starting to. He covers a lot of ground. He